So there's numbers on the little handles of these trays. Most people are going to be a 4 and a 22. Okay, that's a really good area to start with. If they're not, then you know which way to go from there. But I would say 90% of people are gonna be the 4 and 22. So the first thing that you're going to do when you get ready for impressions is grab your alginate. This is underneath the sink in the rooms. There's also a big box under op 1 that you can refill these containers. Whenever you're doing anything with powder in dentistry, you're gonna fluff it before you start. Okay, it's kind of like when you bake with flour. If you don't fluff it, what happens? Super dry when you bake something. So you always wanna fluff. Then, when you open it, there should be a scoop. And we're going to do 3 scoops for the top, 2 scoops for the bottom. If you want to do 3 and 3, I don't care if it's easier for you. You'll just have a little bit left over. You're going to tap, tap, tap a couple times and then do a level scoop. Okay. Always put the lid back on because we're clean hands right now, right? We don't want dirty hands, so never grab the scoop inside with gloved hands. Then we're ready to have the patient come in. And we're gonna try on the trays. When you fit the trays for the patient, you're gonna set them in the mouth and you're gonna wiggle back and forth. You want a little bit of give, not a ton of give, but you don't want it to hurt them when it moves around. You have to remember that we need alginate on both sides of the teeth. So if it just fits in their mouth, then there's gonna be an area that's hitting, probably, okay? So you want it to have a little bit of give, but you want it to be comfortable. Mandibular, same thing. If they have their thirds or their mouth is large, sometimes it won't cover the back teeth. I'm not gonna do it for this one, but you can go get, we have wax that you can make a border on the back to extend the tray. You can also make a custom tray, which is made out of plastic and you mold it. It's kind of overkill for just preliminary impressions, but for like a secondary or final impression, you could definitely make a custom tray for them. All right, once we're gonna start mixing, these are the mixers, the measuring cups. So it tells you right on here, if you have 1 scoop of powder, you do to the 1 scoop line. So we did 3 for the maxillary. I always do the maxillary first because it's the hardest one. And I feel like you wanna get the hardest one over with so then the patient isn't so tired and angry for the second one. For alginate, you always wanna use cold water. If you use warm or hot, you'll never make it into their mouth, okay? So we get to the 3, we're gonna pour it in. You're gonna take your spatula, move it around till it gets just incorporated, and then you're gonna push it to the side so that all the air bubbles get out. It's kind of messy. Okay, you have about 5 seconds to mix it up. Once you get it mixed, you're gonna throw it into the tray. And then I always put a little bit in my hand. When I go over to the patient, I'm gonna take a little bit on my finger and I'm going to rub it on their teeth, okay? This will help get more of a detailed impression. When I put it in, I'm gonna do the posterior first and then bring it up to the anterior. See how it kind of comes out at the top? That's what you want. If you put the front in first, it's gonna all go down their throat and not get that extra amount in the front. Then you're gonna have them put their lips over and have them kind of pucker like they're gonna kiss. And that will help get the vestibular areas and give more detail, okay? And then I'm not pushing, I'm just holding, okay? So that they don't bite into it. Takes about 30 seconds for it to set up. Out of the mouth, it's gonna take a little bit longer because I don't have heat to speed it up. So it'll take more like a minute outside the mouth. Once it comes out, what we would do normally is spray it, and you're gonna let it sit for 10 minutes so that it's disinfected.
What do you spray it with?
The Cavicide.
And which tray is larger, the smaller number or the larger number?
It's opposite for maxillary and mandibular.
Okay.
So the number 4 goes on the maxillary.
Okay.
The 22 goes on the mandibular. But like a larger one on the maxillary would be like a 1.
Okay.
Or on the bottom it'd be like a 25.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see how it's kind of holding its own there. At this point, I'm gonna let go and I'm gonna clean my hands off for the patient. What this does is it tells the patient that I'm almost done, and they're like, oh, I'm almost done, I got this, but it's giving it just a few more seconds to set up. And then once it gets ready to come out, I'm gonna put my fingers in their mouth and I'm gonna push the posterior area down first. I have my fingers in so that if it drops down, it doesn't hit the bottom teeth and chip them, okay? And then you bring the front down and it looks something like that. Okay, so then I would spray. If there's any blood or food, you can wash it off. And then you're gonna spray. And then you're going to wrap it in a wet paper towel and wait until you mix it up. Okay? You can stop it.